I believe your bill has, what, two parts? The first part is it allows people to register by party affiliation if they so choose. And that one-time registration is what the one-time cost is. Then it would allow the political parties to choose whether they're going to close or not close their primaries in each county.
Yes. That is my understanding, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions of Chairman? Yes, Chairman Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Keesley, this is a local party decision. So if the Republican Party of Blount County decides that they've got two candidates, and within the party, there's a feeling that maybe their friend would have a better chance that they're close to socially, this time we'll open it. And then next time we'll close it. Is there any way that this could be addressed? Basically, it's the same thing that we're saying is happening now, that we're having crossover votes. It then becomes a social clique issue, basically. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Keesley.
I'm going to, if it would be okay with, if you would agree, Chairman, I would you mind going out of session and letting our legal answer that? Then of course, per the bill itself, because I'm not sure that is it addressed.
We can go out of session, and Chairman Moon can ask legal to verify something that your question you have about the bill. We are out of session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to legal. Help me if I've read the text of the bill incorrectly, but does the party locally make the decision if it's a Republican primary for mayor, sheriff, clerk, register deeds? Does the party locally make the decision to close or to open that primary? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. The bill does not specify that. It just says a political party in its call for election may allow for participation in the party's primary elections by a person who is an unaffiliated voter according to the voter's permanent registration record. So it would be up to the political party. I'm not entirely sure if that would be the local political party or the statewide political party. It's not clear.
Thank you, legal, and thank you. I support your bill, but this concerns me because the way I read it, if it's a local question on the ballot, then the local, just like we did on school board being nonpartisan, the local party determines whether or not it's partisan or nonpartisan school board election. So, but thank you, legal.
I think the way I interpret the bill, and since it's not empowering county parties to do anything, since the only people that can really empower the county parties are the state parties, that it would be up to the state parties whether they wanted to grant that control to the counties or keep that to themselves, I would assume, since it's not. We have, excuse me, well, I was commenting on legal. Well, any other questions of legal? If not, we are back in session. Any other questions of the sponsor? Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Keesling, for your bringing this legislation. I also just want to say I like your coat. It looks really good on you today.
I sense coordination here. Any other questions? If not, we will be voting on the bill. Seeing no other questions, we are voting on HB 1045 by Keesling. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. It goes on to full local.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have HB 0183 by Chairman Whitson. We have a question second on the bill. Do we have any amendments? I believe you have one. Which one are you attaching?
I have Amendment 4425, which makes the bill.
That's what we have. It does make the bill. I suggest we attach the amendment to the bill and then discuss the amended bill. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The amendment is attached to the bill. Please tell us about your amended bill.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This bill is designed to simplify and clarify certain procedures for the Registry of Election Finance. These are considered to be procedural rather than substantive changes and are intended to simplify the code or make certain procedures match others currently in use. In many instances, these changes are intended to outline certain existing requirements by statute rather than by rulemaking. The procedures affected by this legislation includes procedures for reporting campaign finance data, treatment and maintenance of campaign funds, addressing sworn complaints, the assessment of civil penalties, addressing administrative proceedings, and the annual reports by the registry.
Any questions? If not, we have a request for testimony. And seeing none at this time, we will go out of session. We have a Director of Campaign Finance, Bill Young, and Lance Frizzell, and is Ms. Topping also, Laura Topping, legal counsel, or testifying. And please make sure your mics are on and tell us your name and position and who you represent.
Thank you, Chairman Rudd. Bill Young, the Executive Director of the Bureau of Ethics and Campaign Finance. Seated to my left is Lauren Topping, our General Counsel, and to her left is Lance Frizzell, our Assistant Director. We basically asked to testify just to answer any questions that any members might have regarding this bill. I think we've touched base with all the members of this subcommittee about this bill, met with many of you personally. Again, these are, as Chairman Whitson said, are procedural changes that after 3 years as Director of the Bureau, I think will help make us more efficient, more effective. There is nothing that we feel is substantive here. And I am open to any questions, Mr. Chairman, you or any other member of the committee have.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is somewhat somewhat of a cleanup bill from last year's legislation?
Yes, part of it is, Mr. Chairman, particularly the part that deals with some of the suggestions that we made last year that weren't included in the legislation last year. And again, ours is more procedural. I think last year's was really more of a substantive change to increase transparency, as I understand.
And as I understand it, the amended version is the Senate amended version, and it is the one that was worked out to make all the parties happy, plus it corrected a typo.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
We have any questions of the team here? Seeing none. Have no questions. I appreciate you coming over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glad to be here as
Hope the
always.
tickets weren't too expensive.
It was not.
We are back in session.
Thank you, Lauren.
Chairman Whitson, is there any questions of the sponsor of the bill?
Thank you, Bill.
We have a question on the bill. Seeing no objections, we are voting on HB 0183 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. It goes to full open.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee.
And next up is HB 0732 by Representative Barrett. We have a motion and second on the bill. Please tell us about your bill. I see there's no amendments, is there?
No, Mr.
amendments.
Chairman.
Tell us about your bill.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the motion and the second. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill addresses the current situation for candidates running for office in Tennessee where the parties are charging fees as access to be on a primary ballot. This bill would seek to eliminate and prohibit any party, any state party from charging a fee for running for any office in the state of Tennessee. Currently, in the Republican Party, you have to pay anywhere from $25 to run for county commission or constable, all the way up to $5,000 just to be on the ballot to run for governor. This bill would prohibit that.
I believe that doesn't your bill, you're not, it doesn't prohibit you from running for any office, only on the Republican primary.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions of the witness, excuse me, the sponsor? I've had so much testimony today, calling the witnesses. Chairman Moon.
I guess I'm the interrogator today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Representative Barrett, thank you for the bill. My only dilemma is, on the one hand, we say that we must let the party have their own rules and policies and procedures. And then on the other hand, now we want to say, no, this one's out of bounds. So I just want to know how we rationalize, or can you, rationalization is the wrong term. Explain to me why. I think if a person can't afford, I think in the party rule, there's a fund set aside. So if a person who's truly can't raise the funds, then the party will provide that funding for them. But help me out a little bit on why, on the one hand, we should be able to do something, on the other we shouldn't. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sponsor.
Well, I thank the gentleman from Blount County for the question. In Tennessee, in our Constitution, we prohibit political tests for access to political office. The nature of these fees, they create an obstacle and they put a barrier in the way that citizens of this state have to overcome in order to be able to run. Now, I appreciate mentioning that there's a process in the bylaws, but that's not required. Those bylaws could be changed at any time to remove that process to apply for a hardship. And that hardship's not required to be granted. There's no codified rule in the law that requires a party to grant access or create some way for access to be given for those that can't afford it. So we've already seen in the last election cycle a candidate who won an election, I believe in your district, as a write-in candidate, was certified as the winner, and then that election, the people who elected that candidate, their candidate was removed by the party because he didn't pay $100 in a timely fashion. That's not right in Tennessee. That shouldn't be what Tennessee stands for. The spirit of the law and under the Constitution is that we want our elections to be open to all. I would pose a question back to the gentleman. If we don't have the ability to govern these types of restrictions and these types of rules that the parties put in place, what's to limit the party from making that fee $5,000, $15,000, $50,000? If the suggestion is that we as a legislature have no right to intercede to make sure that citizens of Tennessee have open access to our ballot system and to be able to run for office in Tennessee, then I would ask the question why we're here.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Chairman Moon, go ahead.
Thank you, sponsor. And I believe, though, when this was brought up before the executive committee of the party, it was nearly unanimous vote to adopt the fees. And there again, it's the balance. And your point is well taken. The person that qualified under the write-in deadline. And so that's something that none of us sit on the SEC. But again, thank you for bringing the bill. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it not only addresses it for the party that all but one member belongs to, but it would apply to all parties. So thank you, Mr. Sponsor, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I wholeheartedly believe that each party should have their own autonomy in making the decisions and determinations as to who is eligible to be on their ballot as a candidate for, a position, whether, state office, local office, whatever the case may be. Completely fine with them saying that you've got to vote X amount of times in the certain way to be bona fide, and bona fide status is 30-plus years or what have you ever in a row of voting. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I've always had issue with this particular instance is when they put on the candidates that you had to pay money out of your pocket to be even considered to be on the ballot. Now, even in one particular party, when they come in, you pay your money. If they throw you off the ballot for some reason, there's a refund. But still, I don't think it's right for any political party, because you hit the nail on the head. It's $500 today. What's to say 20 years from now it's not $20,000, and then it becomes a point where good people who want to serve the people of this state do not have an opportunity to do so because they can't financially afford to do it. And you knock out a lot of really good folks. I'm not saying people that have money are bad folks. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but it limits the field of opportunity for people to put their name out there, to be considered by their constituency to serve them in various roles. And so I will be supporting your bill today, and I don't think that it takes away from the party system whatsoever. But I wanted to say that, so thank you.
I'd say this, it does not in any way, shape, or form deny people's right to a ballot. They can still run as an independent if they don't want to meet their party background. Also, we fringe a lot. We come pretty close to telling political parties what they can and can't do within their own party. We also have stated in state law we leave it up to the state parties to define bona fide status, and they have to meet the bona fide status of their party. And they have strict rules of who can be a member of their party and who can vote in their party and qualifications to run. I think it's 3 out of every 4 primaries, or been active in the party, or both. And constitutionally speaking, we're limited what we can do directly to the internal workings of a political party. If we were to pass legislation like this, which I personally view as unconstitutional, because it's violating the constitutional rights to freedom of assembly. We can't tell a private organization who can and can't be members of their party and what their bona fide status is. That's kind of crossing the line, in some opinion, in mine, that we're telling people what they can and can't charge, who they have to let run. The next will be passing laws stating, well, you have to let Democrats run in your primary and be members of your party. And we're just limited what they do. They are a non-government, non-supported private entity, and I think at this point we may be crossing over constitutionally suspect of what we can and cannot tell them to do and who can run, because are we going to pass a law stating what their bona fide status is, that 2 out of 4 and they can run in their primary? We're kind of limited what we can do, and I just think this may be crossing a line. We can always ask legal if we need to. But Chairman Crawford, I believe you're next on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is for the sponsor. Did we pass legislation last year or the year before that allowed the parties to charge to do this?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Okay. Then, but yet, we didn't have a law that addressed this. We're telling a private organization what they can do and what they can say meets their qualification rules or whatever. I don't really understand why this. Can you tell me why you're bringing this bill? Have we had a problem or?
Yes, go ahead, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm bringing this bill because as an attorney who understands the law and the Constitution in Tennessee, I see this as an unconstitutional obstacle to access to running for office in Tennessee. I see unfettered ability of, as you say, a private entity to control and manipulate who gets put on the ballot in Tennessee. And as I believe every member of this committee would acknowledge that not a single independent has ever been elected to this body. So party membership matters. Being able to run in a party primary, to be a candidate in the general election as a member of a party matters. Saying that you can run as an independent does not mean that you have equal access to the ballot. And so I think there are things that this body, this General Assembly can do to govern how parties govern themselves. For instance, if the parties want to charge a membership fee that's equal across the board as part of their analysis of whether or not someone is bona fide, sure, it's an equal opportunity. But when you start changing the goal line as to what it is that you have to do in order to run for different offices, you're creating a higher bar each and every time that you raise that. And again, as Chairman Doggett pointed out, there's no restriction as to how high this bar goes. So you have a private group of people telling the citizens of Tennessee who they're going to have the choice to elect or vote for, and that's not right, not in Tennessee, in my opinion.
Chairman.
I apologize, Mr. Sponsor. I must not ask the question correctly. I want to know, have we had an issue why you're bringing this bill? Have we had somebody that's complained about the price, or somebody that couldn't run because of the price? Or I guess that's what I'm asking.
Go ahead.
Well, I think I just, in talking to Representative Moon, illustrated an issue to where the payment of $100 caused a party to decide to overturn a certified election result based solely on whether or not payment of $100 was done in what the party considered to be a timely manner. That's a problem.
Go ahead, Chairman.
Did the gentleman or female, whoever was running for that particular office, was they made aware that they had to pay the $100?
Go ahead.
I've not talked to that gentleman personally. I can only answer that question based on circumstantial evidence and hearsay, and this not being a court of law. My understanding is that the gentleman was made aware that the $100 would be due, but was also told that it would not have to be paid until after the election.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is, when I've talked to people about this particular bill, they have told me that in the past they've had elections to where, I'm just making this up, but let's say somebody was running for county mayor, and they end up having 24, 27 people in that race running for county mayor, all right? And some of them were just running. I don't know how many times I look in the paper when the governor's being elected and you see all kinds of names, people running for governor. They know they're not going to win, but they wanted to get their name out there. So they say this stops that problem. So I'm kind of in between. I don't know what to do, because if we've not had the problem, we're coming up with a solution for something that's not broke. Here in Tennessee,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you was finished.
Tennessee, we have, it's the easiest state in the whole country to vote. It's the hardest state to cheat. So a lot of the rules and regulations we have in place, as my friend to the right here said, has given us a supermajority, has given us a Republican governor, has given us a lot of things, and I don't understand why anytime you tinker with something on a motor or whatever, you know that, you take a chance on messing it up. And this just kind of scares me. So anyway, I'm sorry for taking.
I'm sorry. Sponsor.
Well, I would respond with this. there's a lot of discussion among the General Assembly right now about choice of schools. And choice is good. Competition is good. As a conservative, I believe that competition is good. I don't have a problem with 15 people running in a county commission race or a county mayor race. I think that's great. I think it's great for the people that are voting to have more options to choose from. And I personally trust that the people will choose the right person. That's the whole point of the election process, is let them sort it out, not a group of people that meet once a year that nobody knows who they are.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in all the other states where the state parties and either party have charged a fee to run that has been upheld, that none of that's been overturned. When I was on the state executive committee, I always voted against that, but it did pass the executive committee. I haven't been on it since I've been elected, but here's the two things. Based on numerous Supreme Court decisions of freedom of assembly and controlling what a committee does within its own, to determine its members and its candidates, they have a right to do that. If we were to pass this, we also could then, based on the bill, could go back and tell them that their bona fide status is incorrect, and we're going to lower it to 1 out of every 4 primaries you can run as a Republican. And I think that would also, there's no reason why there's no difference in the two, what we're doing, if we're going to start telling them to qualify for office. And as far as the different fees, all the different offices are bigger, covers more territory, maybe charge more, some are paid nothing. And since they're not violating any federal law of any protected class to have access to run, I don't think they're discriminating against anyone based on that. But I think, like I said, I think we're going down very, very dangerous waters, because the next thing we do, if we pass this, we can change the bona fide status and change who can be a member of a party. And I would say it's almost assured that the party will start challenging it. I'd like to go at this point briefly out of session, if there's no objections, and ask legal what they feel, the constitutionality of it is, because the parties have won in every single case. Both parties have won every single case when we try to tell them what to do with their internal membership and bona fide status and workings of their party. We'll go to session to ask legal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston from Legal Services. So in researching this particular bill, I found a case, U.S. Supreme Court case, California Democratic Party v. Jones, where the Supreme Court stated that our cases vigorously affirm the special place the First Amendment reserves for and the special protection it accords, the process by which a political party selects a standard bearer who best represents the party's ideologies and preferences. Under that reasoning, I think by prohibiting a political party from requiring a fee, the state may violate the party's First Amendment rights of freedom of association.
Are there any questions of the legal? Representative Miller and Chairman Crawford. Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So based on that interpretation, let's say if, in fact, the state of Tennessee said we wanted to put a cap on what the parties can charge, no more than $100, would that be constitutional or legal?
I'm not sure that changes the analysis at all. I still think it would be constitutionally suspect.
Chairman Crawford.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, can legal break that down a little simpler for me to understand exactly what you're saying? Because this is an important decision. We need to make the right decision here. I just need to understand it.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is when a political party is choosing who represents the party. That is exactly what the freedom of association and the First Amendment is all about. And by a state telling them that the rules about which you can declare someone being bona fide and being able to represent that party, I believe that it would infringe upon that party's First Amendment associational rights.
Yes, Chairman.
All right, I guess this question's for legal too. In the testimony from the sponsor there, he said something about if we charged a straight across the board fee for everyone, for membership or something, how does that affect the decision we're making on this?
Well, that would be something separate from what this bill is after. This is payment of a fee to run as a candidate of that political party. I believe a party could validly have some sort of fee to join the party.
I think the sponsor, when he mentioned the word membership, as he described what he was talking about, I think he was talking about to run for office, not to actually be a member of the party. I'm not sure, but we'll go back into session. Any other questions of legal? If not, we'll go back into session. There's the sponsor. You can clear up what you meant by membership, and I don't know if that's the word you meant to use.
No, that is exactly what I was trying to do is define the dichotomy between charging a membership to be a member of the party as part of a bona fide definition versus charging a pay-to-play fee that you have to pay in order to get on the ballot. We're talking about two different things. A party can charge a fee, $50 a month, $100 a year, whatever it wants to charge to be a member. But when it goes and starts charging an access fee for you to be run as a candidate, that's where I think they're violating the law, and we as a General Assembly have a duty to protect the citizens of the state from that.
And I think it's fair to say that the party does not actually charge a fee to be a member of the party. It's a voluntary. You can be Republican and vote in Republican primaries and not pay a membership dues, or you can join different levels of what you can afford to pay to contribute, and that money usually goes to the operation of the party or to fund its PAC program for candidates. But there is not an actual required fee. They just asked for the donation. I think both parties just asked people to join at different levels. I think in the Republican Party it goes from $25 up to $5,000 or $10,000, depending on what you can contribute, and that helps them elect candidates and operate. Any other questions? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my question to legal, and when legal said that would be somewhat suspect, I was trying to really find a compromise because in this bill you want to just eliminate the fee. And I'm thinking, is there any way we could cap it? This is the minimum, this is the maximum, or whatever. Because this, hypothetically, and it was mentioned by a representative, at any point in time, based on legal and based on the conversation, any party can come back and say your fee is increased for the next election, and it's no limit. And the state of Tennessee can't do anything about that. That doesn't seem right.
Well, the legal, to clear up one thing, legal, I think, said that the bill didn't directly mention caps, but if it's constitutional suspect to tell the parties they can't charge, then we couldn't put a cap on it either. And like I said earlier, there's absolutely no difference in this bill, in my opinion, that if we can do this and tell them they can't run for office, then we can redefine the bona fide status of what it is to join or run in each respective party, and that would definitely not fly. But Mr. Sponsor.
With the chairman's concerns about the constitutionality of this provision, if this subcommittee were willing to pass the bill on through to full committee, the sponsor would be committed to obtain an AG's opinion and submit that to the full committee whenever we put this on notice.
We normally, when there's a question like that, or there's or even a major amendment, which you're not proposing, just opinion, we usually don't pass that on to full. They like this settled in sub. Well, we hadn't voted yet. Anybody can make a proposal here, but we're just discussing right now. Are there any other discussions on the bill, or any other proposals, or any questions, legal or anything? If not, let's see. You have Representative Miller. You have more questions? Okay, I'm sorry.
For a couple of weeks, I don't know how soon it would be before AG could get an opinion.
Is that a motion? Yes. Do I hear a second on the motion? To roll it, what is your motion exactly?
Roll for 2 weeks.
Roll it for 2 weeks. Do I hear a second on that motion? I hear a second. All right, the motion is all yeas are approval to roll it for 2 weeks. Nays are to deny it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Nay. It is rolled for 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I want to take this time to recognize, oh, by the way, excuse me, HB 0732 by Barrett is rolled for 2 weeks. I want to take this time to recognize Leadership Rutherford, the members that have been in the audience. Appreciate you being here and coming. Well, that concludes today's business. Are there any other announcements by members of the committee before we adjourn? If not, to hear a motion to adjourn. So moved. We are hereby adjourned.